Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our campfire talk this evening. We're really glad to have you here. My name is Vesper Bell, and I'm going to be your host tonight. I am with the Campfire Talks team from Camp Network. And as we get started tonight, a reminder of our group rules and expectations. For our opening portion, please keep your mic muted, but feel free to utilize the chat. Throughout this session, please be respectful in your participation, be present, and speak from your own experience. Formally welcome you to Campfire Talks Season 4, Episode 2. We're really excited to have you. And tonight we're going to talk about interactivity. Burning Man is the experience that we make collectively. So we don't believe that there is an expert in interactivity, nor that there is a right way to do interactivity. We want to focus tonight on the participant experience in the aspects of Burning Man that are interactive. We're hoping that after tonight's session, you will be inspired and excited for what we all create in Black Rock City. And maybe you take this process and these ideas to your camp as you collaborate to make this year even better. We're going to get things started with a poll. Popping up for everyone will be a poll about what does interactivity mean to you? What do you guys think? We'll see some stuff coming in. Great. Oh, I think maybe myself and the host, we get to see the results as they come in, and it's very interesting to see all these things pop up. I'm really curious about what this concept of interactivity, what does it mean to all of us? And it's something that we're going to be working through together through our session tonight. We're super close. It looks like we have like 75% people have participated so far. Up towards 80. You guys think? Pretty close? Okay, I'm gonna let it get like, maybe we get like a handful of additional people. What do you guys think? Maybe? Okay. Poll, speak now or save your answer for in a couple minutes. Here we go. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Let's see what we think. Looks like about half of us are around some aspect of an intentional or planned experience or encounter, or some kind of active event that someone has created for us to experience. So interestingly, about half of us are also thinking about like maybe something that's a little bit more passive interaction, or maybe something that someone set up and they've allowed us to find it that allows us to do or feel something. Many of us are making connections through interactivity, and we feel like these are the experiences that make Burning Man unique and powerful. Some of these other aspects are things that are going to come up either through our stories tonight or through our activity. So I'm really excited to see the rest of what we think about this. All right. Tonight in our session, we want to highlight what has been memorable interactivity for you. So rather than hearing from panelists, we will be harnessing the power of stories to collectively learn about making our interactivity better. To do this, instead of focusing on how we create interactivity for others, we want you to think about what have been memorable moments when you have participated in interactivity. Tonight's session is going to be a little bit different from some of our previous campfire talks in terms of its structure. It's going to be interactive. We're all going to interact. No spectators at Burning Man, after all. And what burner doesn't like telling stories about Burning Man? Let's be honest. First, the Campfire Talks team will model the activity that we're going to be doing. And then all of us are going to break into small groups to do this activity together. Each of us will take turns telling a story about a moment of participation that has stuck with us. The listeners in each of these groups should pay attention to what elements made that moment of interactivity memorable. Common elements of inspiring interactivity will arise. And we'll demonstrate how this is going to happen. Our first storyteller is going to be Puppy. And the storyteller is going to tell us their story, and I'll act as the observer in this moment to help guide some reflections on how that interactivity worked. For some instructions about telling the story, I want you to think about the times at Burning Man that you have had a memorable experience. In particular, focus on things that were planned intentionally by others rather than random or individual encounters you may have had on the playa. In telling the story, tell a brief story about an interactivity experience that stands out. Set some brief context, like where were you? What was the size of the group? How many other people were there? Describe the interactivity and what elements of the interactivity made it unique or stand out. What happened? What did people do? What did you feel? How did you decide to do that experience? And don't worry, when it comes time to do this yourself, we will put these same instructions in the chat. But Puppy and I are going to demonstrate this for you now. Hi, Puppy.
Hey.
Tell me about your interactivity.
Yes, this story is, I'm thinking maybe from 2016. It was, I was a fairly new burner. I was in the 9 o'clock sector and I was in a bar. I'm thinking maybe like Fandango, some larger bar. I think I was standing in line. I was alone. And this person came up to me and said, "Would you like a strap-on corn dog?" Now, I had no idea what this was, but I'm at Burning Man and I'm hungry and corn dog. So yes, I say yes. And then immediately this person, this group comes to me, and one person puts a pillow down in front of me for me to kneel on. Another person came up to me wearing a strap-on corn dog. Stood right in front of me, and I knelt down. Someone else came up to me with ketchup and mustard and asked me what condiments I wanted on my strap-on corn dog. And then I proceeded to, I wanted ketchup and mustard. I proceeded to eat the strap-on corn dog. And then the added feature was there was someone standing to the side with one of those little Polaroid cameras and took a picture of me eating the strap-on corn dog and gave it to me as a keepsake. And it's one of my prized possessions, is me, this very faded picture of me eating the strap-on corn dog at Burning Man. And it's one of the stories I like to tell to explain to people sort of the creativity and wildness and fun that happens at Burning Man. And I mean, there are so many features about this that I love. I love the consent nature. There was no pressure. There was nothing wanted from me afterwards. It was just a gift. They showed up, gave me the gift, they disappeared. And the carefulness with which they thought through, offering the condiments, having the pillow, offering the photograph, so I had a keepsake. It's just one of those magical 5-minute encounters that cemented for me like how amazing and creative and fun and playful that is.
Yeah. Wow, like there's so much going on in that moment that you experienced. The playfulness, the spontaneity, that it was just something that happened while you were waiting in line. Uh, what about it seemed to help you feel welcome or comfortable to say yes to that experience?
Well, I don't know if there was anything they did to evoke the yes. Like the yes came because I was at Burning Man and I wanted to, like they didn't, there was nothing in their demeanor other than just offering me. But what made me feel cared for during that interactivity was the pillow and the condiments. And like I could tell they really thought this through. That it just made me feel like loved and embraced. And given some of the things we had on the poll, one of the things that people listed on the poll that I hadn't thought about was interactivity that creates connection. And this interactivity did not create connection with any of the people. So it didn't sort of pull that lever. But what it did do is it created a connection with me to Burning Man.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't love any of the individuals because they sort of came, gave me the gift, and then disappeared, which was lovely in its own way. But it made me feel connected to this place that invites me in to be loved and cared for and be playful and leave my comfort zone perhaps because strap on corn dog.
Yeah. And it sounds like it was leave your comfort zone, but in a way that felt safe, but maybe with a little bit of a challenge and a
Respectful.
nice balance and respectful, but also fun and kind of edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And I love that there's the ability to both make connections with others and make connection with the community and not have that be mutually exclusive. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for telling your story about this.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So we heard Puppy's story about maybe an individual experience with a small group of people doing like a small scale interaction. And that some of the elements there about being playful and creative and unique and allowing people to stretch, but also feel some element of connection. I wonder if there are maybe other stories that might fit into this as well. I'm going to call up my colleague, Peta. Peta is going to tell us a story as well about a large collective experience.
Yes. Hi, everybody. This was in 2022. It was at Camp Universal, which is if you don't know it, it's the tea camp, the Persian tea camp in the 430 sector. And on Friday, the Friday of event week, they had a planned interactivity, and it was a reading of Rumi in Persian, mainly in Persian, a little bit in some translation into English, but mainly Persian, by one of the Camp Universal leads. His name is Jahan, and he has this beautiful voice. And I guess, when I'm just saying it right now, it wasn't interactive in the fact that I was doing anything but listening, but I felt so moved by it. There were at least 50, 75 people there in the tea room, packed. And it got to a point where we were like really, really close to each other. And then Jahan started to recite Rumi in his beautiful, booming voice. And there was a man sitting next to him. And so Jahan, recited, he explained a little bit about Rumi and what he was saying. And then the man sitting next to him was a musician, also from Iran, who then had put together kind of a backbeat, if you will. And then he sang Rumi. And I looked around, one of my friends was standing right next to me, and we were crying because it was so beautiful, because we felt the passion and the longing And, you know, Iran, there's a lot going on with Iran, and just thinking about these people who are not maybe living in the country in which they were born. And it was such a beautiful experience. And it actually motivated me to do my own poetry project last year in 2023. I created something called the International House of Poetry. Not going to go into that, but Jahan participated in helping me create that. And so it was such a beautiful experience, and it provided me motivation for one of my own interactivities.
Nice. One of the things that I really love about hearing that is that you had this really powerful, like, collective experience with all of these other people who were there listening to this poetry moment, and that inspired you to want to create an experience like that for other people.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of the point of why we're all here and thinking about this is we've had powerful experiences at Burning Man. So how can I have someone come to something that I might do and come away with an experience that they then go tell their friends about, or that they think about for years afterwards? Yeah. Peta, what you mentioned something about passion, like you could feel the passion in that experience. What other like aspects of the situation or the feelings that you had in that moment really made it something that stuck with you?
I think it was an immersive experience. The tea house is this beautiful wood tea house that they construct. One year we were there, we were lucky enough to be their neighbors, so we watched them construct. Mostly there's no nails in it. It's all this kind of joining. And so you've got this container. It was full of people. And then you have Johan's booming voice, and you're kind of expecting this booming voice. But then when this additional beautiful voice starts to sing, and it's, you know, for me, I don't speak Persian, so it's you know, it's a different language, but I was able to transcend, you know, the experience and really understand and feel like what, and I know a lot about Rumi anyway, but you know, feel that experience. So it was that kind of immersive experience where I didn't have to do anything except be there. There wasn't a big ask of me. I could just show up. I really liked having that option.
Yeah. And I like these two stories definitely have things in common, and they also have some things that are really different. Like Puppy's story, there was definitely an ask there of him to participate in this corn dog experience. And Peta, for your story, you just had to be there and be willing to listen for a moment to someone. And yet there are common elements of this was something that was exciting and memorable and had an impact on someone that they then are now thinking about this years later. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are there other elements of this that stood out to you that I haven't?
No, I think you nailed it. Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, the passion and actually the simplicity of it. Look at how simple that was. I mean, of course, they built the space. The space is not simple. They create a beautiful space. And that's what helps to make the experience as well, because you're kind of coming into a womb, if you will. It's a womb with a view. And so I think I'm very attracted to the simplicity instead of like these things that are so, you know, just very, those are fun too, but I just have to say, very much attracted to the simplicity of the activity.
Yeah. Surprisingly, like Puppies is relatively simple also. This is like you walk up with a corn dog strapped to you. But also had some elements of being really thought out in terms of the performative aspect of that. And so I think that this really exemplifies maybe for everyone who's watching the there is no wrong answer kind of way of this, that I think some of the themes that are maybe starting to emerge as we start to think of our own stories are that memorable interactivity takes many forms, and there isn't necessarily a right way to do interactivity to make it memorable, but that there maybe are some elements that are important. Thank you, PETA, and thank you, Puppy, for telling your stories about this for
You're
us,
welcome.
your models. Yeah. We're now going to do something interesting as a group, kind of as a reminder of what we're doing tonight. We are drawing upon our own memories and stories of what has been memorable for us that we have participated in, and thinking about why that has been memorable for us, so that perhaps someone else in our group, or maybe ourselves, what elements could we bring to the interactivity that we are creating for others to make those more enjoyable experiences? So what we're going to do now is we're going to break up into some small groups. We're going to break into groups of 4. When you get into your small group, introduce yourselves. Take turns sharing your stories and having some discussion about what made these interactivities memorable. Please remember our group norms. Be respectful, share the air with your other group members. Be welcoming, open, and positive towards each other's experiences. Confidentiality can't be guaranteed, but please be respectful and don't share personal details outside of the small groups. If you run into an issue in your breakout room, please hit the button to ask for help, or the blue leave room button at the bottom to return to the main room. We're going to put the instructions for stories into the chat so that you guys have some guiding questions for how to do this. We're going to give you about 25 minutes or so, maybe 28 minutes to share your stories in your small groups. And then we're going to return to the main group for a little bit more instructions. We're going to share some more about themes in the second half of our activity. So very shortly, you will see the breakout rooms open. You'll have an invitation pop up on your screen for you to go to a breakout room. All right. Good luck. Tell good stories.